Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Misheard Song Lyrics, episode 46. And we're going to be talking about our first ever Rolling Stones. I'm surprised we haven't done one yet, but we're going to be doing their famous song, Beast of Burden. And the misheard song lyric is, I'll never leave your pizza burning. Of course, the correct lyrics is, I'll never be your beast of burden. Pretty close. Okay, so Beast of Burden, is a song by, like I mentioned earlier, English rock band The Rolling Stones, featured in their 1978 album Some Girls. And as most of you know, the Rolling Stones, or the Stones, as some people affectionately call them, are an English rock band formed in London back in 1962. Whoa, okay. Now, the original lineup included band leader Brian Jones. I didn't know about this. I always thought it was always Mick Jagger. So Brian Jones did guitar, harmonica, and keyboards. And then Mick Jagger was lead vocals, as he is today, and harmonica. And then you have Keith Richards that does guitar and vocals, Bill Wyman, bass guitar, Charlie Watts drums, and an Ian Stewart with piano. I'd never heard of Ian Stewart. So Stewart was actually removed from the official lineup in 1963, so a year later after they were formed. But the cool thing was he continued to work with the band as a contracted musician until his death in 85. So a good long stretch. The band's primary songwriters were usually Jagger and Richards, and they took over when they had a new group manager by the name of Andrew Loog Oldham. And then the band leader that I mentioned earlier, the gentleman by the name of Brian Jones, actually left the band less than a month before his death in 1969. So already been replaced by Mick Taylor. So, he had died young, unfortunately. So as we know, this is kind of how the band is for a long time. And then Taylor left in 1974 and then was replaced in 1975 by Ronnie Wood, who has since remained. And the funny thing about Ronnie Wood is whenever I look at him, I think, it looks kind of like Rod Stewart in disguise in a black wig. Is that Rod Stewart? And he just called himself Ronnie Wood. That's my theory. Anyway, I'm sticking to it. So the Rolling Stones were the forefront of the British invasion bands, along with the Beatles, that became popular in the United States back in 1964 and were identified by most as the youthful and rebellious counterculture of the 60s. So they came at the right time, and the look, the sound, their brand, as what we call it today, was perfect for that era. They actually were inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, not surprised, back in 1989, and also the UK Hall of Fame in 2004, so just recently for the UK version. Now, Rolling Stone magazine ranked them fourth of the 100 greatest artists of all time list, and their estimated record sales is in the 240 million stratosphere. And I'm assuming it's even more, but it's a lot. They are set for life, but they still perform. They have released 30 studio albums, get this, 23 live albums, and numerous compilations. Let It Bleed, 1969, marked their first of 5 consecutive #1 studio and live albums in the UK. Sticky Fingers in 1971 was the first of 8 consecutive #1 studio albums in the US. I'm just impressive. And then in 2008, the band was listed as 10th on the Billboard Hot 100 all-time top artist chart. And in 2019, so just last year, Billboard magazine ranked them second in their list of the greatest artists of all time. So that's pretty impressive. And then in 2012, so about 8 years ago, the band celebrated their 50th anniversary. So they're in their 50th year this year. Wow. The group continues to sell out venues. Like I said, they're still out there doing their thing. And with their recent No Filter tour running for 2 years and concluding in August of 2019. So that's a lot of stamina. It's amazing. So let's talk a little about the misheard song Beast of Burden. So first of all, what is a beast of burden? It's actually an animal, excuse me, and it's usually domesticated, and it's used for using labor to help man. So I've always known it as, it could be a horse, it could be an ox, or in the Philippines where I'm from, we call it karabu. So that's what a beast of burden is. And the music and some of the lyrics were actually primarily written by Keith Richards, which is another gentleman that science is actually, checking on him and testing him, because he has withstand many drugs and he's still with us. So he's like a human cockroach. I mean, really, to be honest. So in the liner notes to the 1993 compilation disc called Jump Back, Richard said Beast of Burden was, quote unquote, this is what he says, was another one where Mick Jagger, of course, just filled in the verses. With the Stones, you take a long song, you play it and see if there's any takers. Sometimes they ignore it, sometimes they grab it and record it. After all the faster numbers of some girls, everybody settled down and enjoyed the slow one. So that's why Beast of Burden became what it was, because they had done all these fast songs for that album, and they're like, okay, this is a little different. They started kind of jamming and playing to see what they can come up with it. In those same liner notes, Jagger says, quote unquote, lyrically, this wasn't particularly heartfelt in a personal way. It's soul-begging song, an attitude song, I would agree. It was one of those where you get one melodic lick, break it down, and work it up. There are two parts here which are basically the same. And what they say is a song can be seen as allegorical, which Richard sang in 2003. That's what Richard says. When I returned to the fold after closing down the laboratory, referring to his former drug problems from the 1970s, the laboratory, I came back into the studio with Mick to say, thanks, man, for shouldering the burden. That's why I wrote Beast of Burden for him, I realize in retrospect. So it was, a buddy story of thanks for, taking care of me, holding my burden while I was, intoxicated with drugs. So Beast of Burden was recorded from October through December of 1977. And again, basic lyrics were written before the Stones entered the studio. Many of the lyrics on the recording were improvised. That's amazing, by Jagger to fit with the smooth running guitar of Richards and Ronnie Wood, again, aka, you know what I'm saying, with black hair, Rod Stewart. Instinctively, Richards and Wood traded off rolling fluid licks, playing on the guitar, the licks. Neither is really playing lead or rhythm guitar. They both slip in and out. Add your joke in there. And one playing high while the other one is playing low. So that's how it came to be. This Some Girl song shows off each band member playing his respective instrument without any outside performer. So it's truly just the nexus of the band, the Rolling Stones. Both Richards and Wood play acoustic and electric guitars, with Wood performing the solos. That's pretty cool. How did it do in the charts? Well, it did quite well, as you and I know today. The song was released as the second single off the album. Billboard magazine praised its seductive lyrics and catchy R&B flavor. It charted number 8 in the U.S., and then a live recording was done in their 1981 American tour and was released as a B-side to Going to a Go-Go, as well as being reissued as a Rarities 1971 to 2003 and 2005, and done many times over in live venue. But again, it's very popular. Now, the cool thing is, I have a big did you know. I did not know that. I'm assuming it was covered by others, but the most famous cover that actually did well and actually topped on the Billboard Hot Music chart was a cover done in 1984 by none other than American singer, songwriter, actress, comedian, and film producer Bette Midler. I didn't even know about the Bette Midler thing. Her version actually reached number 71 on the Billboard Hot 100. So remember, it was in 78 and it got popular again in 84. And it was modified. She said she modified several lines of the lyric. For example, saying pretty, pretty girls to my little sister is a pretty, pretty girl. And then in the video we'll talk about in a second, there's an actress that plays her little sister trying to hone in on Mick Jagger. And the track appeared on Midler's No Frills album. So cool. And there's a music video. So, of course, check it out. Look up Bette Midler cover Beast of Burden. You will be delighted because it's actually really good. It was a video of them. So her and Mick Jagger in the video are supposedly dating, and they're in the tabloids. And in the tabloids, it says she left a chic for him and that he left all his adoring female fans. And they find her about to go up on stage to sing Beast of Burden. And he comes in bringing her roses to intentionally break up with her because he doesn't want to deal with more of the publicity, darling. And she says, well, if you're going to do that, let's just stay for one time to hear me sing the song. So he does. So he's in the where all the fans are, and she's up on stage, and she is killing it. She's singing it. She's showing off some sex appeal. She's doing the splits. I didn't even know she could do that. I can't do it. If I did, I couldn't get back up. So she does a lot of sass. And then he, of course, is just like, whoa, cool. And then the fans bring him up to her and they perform the song together. So it's awesome. Check it out. And the cool thing is at the end or throughout the video, you'll notice the Sheik is angry and he's watching them, get this going on with the song. He's in the bar and he slowly makes his way up, which now it's like, ugh, it could be taken wrong. But at the end of the video, he comes up to them as they're leaving the stage and he throws a pie and it hits Mick Jagger in the face, and Midler laughs. And then seconds later, she gets hit in the face with the pie. And the video ends with both of them with a picture in the tabloids of them covered with the pie, and the headline reads "Just Dessert." So a funny video, great video, and I love the version of the Bette Midler. I will have to probably download it so I can listen to it while I'm doing my walk every day. So hopefully you learned something new. I did. I had no idea that there was even this great cover. I knew a little bit more about the song. I knew a little bit more about, the makeup of the band, but I didn't even know about Brian Jones. So I'm totally, of course, an ingenue when it comes to really knowing Rolling Stones. If you're a big Rolling Stones fan, please let us know. We'd love to hear from you. But I love this misheard lyrics, because when I heard it years ago and someone sing it that way, I'm like, yeah, you definitely want to not leave any pizza burning, but I don't think it's what this song is about. And it definitely wasn't, but it's a great misheard song. And you notice misheards come usually in two different categories, about food or sex. So this one hits the food part. So I hope you enjoy it. I'm excited to see you guys for next episode 47 next week. So till then, sing those songs wrong and bye.